Hello good people! We have another exciting video for you guys today, as always, and today is a great day because it is right in the middle of football season, and my favorite part of the football season, other than the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, is fantasy football. And I'm currently in a league with a few other commentators, and my team is doing pretty well. I mean, I'm having a little trouble in the wide receiver department because Miles Austin has been out for a few weeks, Stevie Johnson hasn't been performing well consistently, and Brandon Lloyd hasn't done anything except complain how he hasn't gotten the ball this year. But other than that, my team is golden. So I thought it would be an interesting video to combine my love for fantasy football and dating and show you guys how the rules of fantasy football can apply to dating. Let's hope this idea works out just as well as it did in my head. So rule number one is have a deep bench. A lot of teams' points come from the running backs, but one star running back isn't going to be enough to get the job done. You need at least two stud running backs, at least two, to have a successful team. Well, the same is very true with dating. You wouldn't put all your eggs into one basket unless you're in a committed relationship. You should have multiple women you're working on so that if one of your dates goes down with a high heel ankle sprain, you have a backup ready to go. Rule number two is prioritize recent performances. When you're preparing for the draft, you check last season's performances, naturally. You look at the receptions, yards thrown, touchdowns, games missed due to injury, all that stuff. And if they have a bad history, you don't pick them up, right? Well, if a girl has a bad dating history, or if she's ever cheated on anyone before, that could be a sign that she might not make the best girlfriend. I mean, you don't have to rule her out entirely, but it's best to know what you're getting yourself into. Rule number three, don't count on comebacks. When you go to draft your team, you don't go and draft the stars of 3 years ago. Once a running back starts his decline, he rarely bounces back. Now bring that logic into the world of dating. Once a relationship goes south, you shouldn't try to revive it. It's best you just move on. Your chances of a glorious comeback are slimmer than LaDainian Tomlinson's. Rule number four is kind of similar, but it's to do your research. Before picking a player, you need to think about how the weather conditions and the defenses he's playing are going to affect his season. You wouldn't draft a player just because he plays for your favorite team or because you heard someone say something good about him. No, you would do your homework. Now apply the same strategy to your dating life. Think of a first date as like a scouting opportunity. How does your date's personality mesh with yours? What are her goals? Does she have any habits that will eventually drive you crazy? Does she like football? Rule number five, don't reach. Usually drafts have that one guy who pulls the trigger way too early to pick someone up. He's that guy who drafts a defense before picking up the number 2 receiver. Fantasy football experts know the value of patience. They don't reach for players. They wait for players to come to them. And the same thing goes for dating. Don't jump into a relationship just for the sake of having one. And don't reach for a girl that's lower than your standards. Wait for your perfect 10. Rule number 6, avoid the sexy pick. Every year there are a few relatively unknown players that everyone is trying to pick up. These are the players like Julio Jones, who I ironically just picked up for my team, and these players are expected to produce big numbers every week, and on draft day, foolish owners chase after these players and miss out on other great players. Same deal with girls. You don't want to go after a girl that 2 or 3 other guys are chasing. And this tip really applies to girls here at Wentworth. In case you didn't watch my dual com with my college roommate, I'll explain the girl situation very briefly. Wentworth is about 80% male and 20% female. That's a 5-to-1 ratio. So you need to assume that when you go after a girl here, there are at least 4 other guys going after her too. Now those odds change because that's implying that every 5 guys, there's one girl that they like. You're not, considering the girl